How you doing, John Rhys?
Good.
Life is good.
All the time. All the time.
So how is life coming after a big win, big performance, passing, running, offense is feeling great? How's it been just kind of coming off SMU now, getting ready for another one?
You try to reload, you try to reload your bullets and get back to work, despite outcome of the past game, like Tavo said, you gotta put the past in the past, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. You put the past in the past and you try to work towards the next one.
Kind of lost your bye week, but Gus had mentioned you guys had a couple days off. Like, how did you kind of deal with this past week?
I mean, you can't change what happens or doesn't happen, with bye week and stuff. But we got 2 days off, and so that was good. Kind of got to sit around a little bit. Wasn't a whole lot to do, but off days are off days, and you kind of got to get healthy a little bit, and then of course again reload the bullets.
Coach had mentioned that there was some evaluation and self-evaluation you're noting this past bye week. From your mind, what is it that you would, what you said you might have tweaked in practice coming up into the next game here?
Again, digging into the game plan of what we're trying to execute moving forward, as far as scheme, run game, pass game, RPOs, digging into the game plan and having an understanding of what we're looking for, what we want to see, and how to exploit it.
How do you think you're doing sliding?
So as a baseball player, you've been sliding my whole life, and so early on in the season, I've never really been a huge slider as it is, but early on in the season, I was coached to hey, we need to take some hits off of you, so you need to start sliding when there's no way out. And so it's one of those things that I don't really think about until the last second, and then at that point, it's almost like, hey, it's almost too late to slide, but then when you try to get down, your slide looks bad. But I think I am taking a couple of hits off of myself, so I think I'm doing better than I was at the beginning of the season.
Is your first inclination you just want to bear down with the shoulder?
Yeah, it's usually to make a move or to take on a lick, but those are some big guys you try to take on, and sometimes you lose those, so you don't really want to do that.
In this past game, do you feel like maybe there was a moment where things started really clicking for you? I mean, every week you prepare, but you never really know what the other defense is going to show you. You got to adjust and react. You guys definitely adjusted and reacted this past one and did well. Was there a moment that you can remember where things started to really click and you felt real comfortable?
Yeah, so after halftime we made some corrections about what they were doing and what they were having success with on the defensive side of the ball. And so once we got a game plan of, hey, this is how they're going to play us, this is how they're going to do us, we put in a game plan or made some corrections at halftime and started hitting some big plays. And when you hit a couple big passing plays, it opened up some run game. When you make a couple big runs, it opens up a couple passes, and then just kind of snowball from there.
I mean, how good did that feel to connect on some big passing plays? It wasn't the greatest passing game before that. I know you ran the ball by design, but that had to feel good to finally connect on some of those.
Oh yeah, it's always a whole lot of fun to get the ball to those guys, those special athletes out there. I mean, playmakers, and to be able to watch them run with the ball and make plays, it's always fun to do.
How is your chemistry development with Kobe Hudson, and what can he add to the kind of the group that you've had established in his absence and in the first few games where you didn't really have any sort of connection with him?
Yeah, Kobe's a stud. In the summer, we both came in at the same time. He obviously transferred in, me transferred in, and so kind of coming in together. We did a lot of throwing in the off season together, and so we have been putting in a lot of work throughout the off season. Now coming in first couple weeks wasn't huge into the game plan. Now he's starting to become a major piece in this thing. It's really cool to watch how he comes to work every day and prepares. And I think yesterday Coach said it to the whole group. He had his best practice of the year, and so that just kind of shows the work ethic that he's bringing to practice every day. And so to watch that, it's really cool.
After this week, you guys are going to be playing on Saturdays instead of Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and all that stuff. Are you ready to just have more of a consistent routine? I imagine it helps you a little bit too.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. You usually are accustomed to playing on Saturdays and having the same schedule every week, but we do a really good job about, no matter what the game day is, we always go off game day and work backwards. We have the same routine that we do, whether it's on a Monday or a Tuesday. This week it was on a Sunday, and so you just kind of have to figure out what day it is for the football game. So like yesterday, Sunday, they were like, all right, this is Sunday, but this is our Tuesday practice. And so that kind of, all right, everybody knows what to expect at that point once we know that. But to get to playing on Saturdays, yeah, sure, it's going to be good to get into that routine. But I think we already are kind of in a routine a little bit.
How impressed have you been with the rest of the conference so far? And there's a a lot of teams that have upped their game as well in this conference, but how impressed are you with this conference as a whole?
This is a really good conference with a bunch of good football teams. I don't get to watch a whole lot of games outside of the ones that we're watching on film or that we're preparing for. But just the couple of games that I have got to see, this is a real conference, as Coach Malzahn would call it. But there's definitely players and definitely teams and coaches that there's some studs in this conference for sure.
John Rhys, consistency as a quarterback, that's obviously the name of the game. As for you, how do you build off of this week and continue to have positive consistency rather than going backwards?
Yeah, like you said, consistency is a big part of this quarterback deal. And I think it is for everybody. I think it's all about showing up day to day, ready to get better. You know, a lot of times after a big loss, some guys would hang their head, maybe feel bad for themselves for a couple of days. Or after a big win, man, now your chin's too high and you don't really want to get back to work. And so we have a 24-hour rule, and so you can sulk or you can feel good for 24 hours, but after that 24 hours, it's back to work. And so I think we've done a really good job about that so far, and looking to continue to do that.
We've talked about your improvement personally, 20 for 29 this past week in completions and all of that, but as an offense, what other thing, because the offense as a whole improved, I feel like, to help your performance, what is the biggest thing in the offense that you felt was better at SMU?
Like I said, once we come off a half, we made some corrections, but hey, this is what we want to exploit. And we kind of stayed in that game plan and hit a couple big throws that opened up some downhill runs, and then they now have to cover downhill runs, and so it opened up a couple more throws. And so once you get a couple big explosive plays, it kind of opens up some stuff, because it kind of sometimes make defenses panic a little bit to, hey, load the box, hey, spread everybody out. And so once you kind of get some people on their heels, it's a little bit easier.
You mentioned 24-hour rule. During a game, though, how do you shake off drops when the wide receivers drop a ball you play?
I'm definitely not perfect, right? So when we're playing a game of that everybody expects you to be perfect, and so for me, I always tell guys when they drop a ball, and I've been there, I've played receiver, I've dropped the ball, and so and I've made bad throws, I've made bad decisions, and so for me it's just playing the next play. After a huge post goes for a touchdown, next series coming up, how do you play the next play? Or, hey, you made a really bad throw, missed somebody on a wide open route, hey, you got to play the next play. And it's just like the 24-hour rule. Like, you can hang your head and let it affect the next day or let it affect the next play, but in reality, that's not going to help you any. And so, again, being a human, sometimes it's hard, but that's what I try to do, play every play individually of its own.
As a leader on the team, what do you say to a guy when he comes back?
I'm always coming back. That's what I tell guys. It's good. And sometimes guys say, hey, I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to do this. Hey, you don't have to make up for anything. I'm going to come back. We're going to make a play. Or sometimes they come with me, bad throw, and it's like, hey, man, you're good. Let's go. You're going to make the next one. And so it's really good when you can have that encouragement around the team. Instead of sometimes I've seen on other teams and been on other teams where, hey, some guy makes a mistake and everybody kind of wants to jump on him, versus a team like this, the guy makes a mistake, everybody comes, picks him up, and ready for the next one.
We used to play a lot of weeknight games. We'll play, another weeknight game this week, so
Yeah.
you'll have another Saturday. Do you watch other teams and other games? Do you maybe look at quarterbacks? You see guys in the media and like, man, I want to see what that guy's all about as a fellow quarterback. Do you do stuff like that and kind of see what other people are doing?
For me, I don't have a ton of time to watch other games, just because you got school and everything else to go with it. But I like to keep up with guys. I met a lot of guys in the Manning Passing Academy this year. Seem to be really cool guys, and so it's always fun to watch some highlights and watch those guys make plays. And my buddies back at Ole Miss, watch those guys and see Mingo. I saw had a huge game versus Vanderbilt, and obviously really proud of him. And so when you get to see your buddies make plays, it's really cool to see that.
Montalvo's been here for every space game, but this is your first. What do you know about that, and your thoughts on that?
I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm really kind of fired up about it. Have y'all seen the jerseys?
We have
Has anybody
not.
seen the jerseys?
Maybe.
I got to see a glimpse of them, and they're really, really cool. And so I'm really excited for y'all to see those and for us to wear them. But
What'd you see?
I can't show it. Can't tell it all. Can't tell it all. But they're really cool. I'll tell you that much. They're really, really cool jerseys, and I think we're gonna look good, play good in them. And so, but yeah, space game is something I'm pumped up about.
When you look on film, what's going to be your first initial thoughts on Temple as an opponent?
Yeah, so they got a couple of really good players, and it's one of those things where you're not trying to avoid anybody by doing any things, but it's just kind of knowing where the studs that are all at on the field, and so knowing your matchups, knowing what you're looking for. Obviously, you want to see what their scheme is doing, and then putting something in place that you can make some plays off of it. But Coach Malzahn and Coach Lindsey and the offensive staff do a really, really good job about that. But back to them, they got some really good players, and they run a really good scheme so far, what I've seen.
You're a two-sport athlete. Obviously, we're in season. Football is your number one priority. I'm not saying that, but with baseball, do you try to take, when you have free time, whatever that is, do you try to go into cages and try to stay fresh that way?
Yeah, so since my freshman year at Ole Miss, you always have an off day. And so for me, I like to utilize that off day to obviously heal up and get treatment and watch film and make corrections, but then you have a little bit more time than you would normally on a regular day that you're practicing football. And so I like to get over there, and even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, just feel the bat in the hand, just try to get a couple of swings in. And so I like to do that on an off day. I know Mary in the treatment room, she doesn't really like that a whole lot, but but I like to do it a little bit, and I like doing it on an off day.
Fall ball at all?
No, not at all.
Also,
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
All right, good luck.